Hello, my cookies. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We got a 1-pan chicken and celery root dish. Easy cleanup, satisfies the whole family. I mean, we're not winning any Michelin stars here, but it can be really flavorful. And like I said, super easy. Now, I got these fantastic looking celery roots. Now, look at this. It even came with the celery on it. So I got to utilize this celery as well. So I will, as well as the leaves. So now that we know what we're doing, let's gather our ingredients. We're going to be using some celery root, pomegranate molasses, cilantro, olive oil. I like my Ras el Hanout. I'm using that, as well as some Tajin, chicken thighs for the meat, and last but not least, the most important, salt. First things first, let's prep these celery root. I also have my oven on, middle rack, 450. You can get away with 425. Let's start with these celery root. There's going to be a good amount of trim here. That's fine. I'm just going to trim off this celery here, and I'm actually going to wash this, because I am going to use a little bit of it. Make sure that after you trim them up, you wash down your board and give them a little bit of a rinse. I'm just going to trim all the roots off here. Leave myself some celery root. It's okay to be a little generous with the trim. These are pretty small, so I got 4 of them. If you get one big one, you only really need 1. Rinse these off. So with these, slice it maybe a 1/2 inch thick. Now, all I'm going to do with the celery root is toss it with a little bit of salt and some olive oil. So a couple tablespoons of olive oil, a little bit of salt, maybe 3/4 teaspoon kosher salt, and spread it out on my prepared baking sheet. Just have a baking sheet. I lined it with foil. I'm going to save the spices for the chicken. All right, so let's get all these in here. All right, here we go. Salt, celery root, a teeny bit more. That was about half. Let's just toss it around, get it all coated. Now let's head over here. I'm just going to kind of spread it out, but I'm going to leave the corners open. That's where the chicken's going to go. So you want it flat here. Let's get, I think I mentioned shallot, so let's get a shallot on here as well. I'm just going to leave it kind of whole. You can leave the skin on. I'm going to take the root out. Just going to get a little bit of oil and salt on it right here. And I'm going to put it skin side down. All right, now it's time for the chicken. I'm going to use this bowl again. I love this recipe because a lot of the work is done by the oven. And then while it's cooking, you can have some fun. All right, actually, before we do that, let's make our spice rub. So Ras el Hanout is sort of potent. So I'm not going to do a ton of it. I'll probably do a teaspoon. And then the Tajin, I'll put in maybe a 1/2 teaspoon. This is just going to add a little bit of spice, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of lime. And then last but not least, salt. I'm going to put about a teaspoon in here. Kosher salt. Chicken thighs. Trim them up if you want. Save the time if you don't want to trim them up. A little bit of olive oil. Give them a nice little massage. Get it on the meat here. Yeah, look at that. Rub it on. Rub it in. If you can get it below the skin, get it below the skin. That's nice. It's best on the meat. If you can't, it's fine. No Michelin stars today. Here we go. All right, let's head on over. And I'm just going to kind of tuck these in the corner here. Spread that skin out. And if you notice, I'm doing skin side down. I'm going to start skin side down. I'm going to try and render it out. It'll get the juices flowing. It'll start crisping up, and then we flip it. And then boom, we'll get some crispy skin. All right, here we go. This is what it looks like going in. See what it looks like coming out. So 450 middle or lower mid rack. We're going to check on it in about 30 minutes. Meanwhile, let's work with this celery. I'm going to wash these. All right, I cut this a little high because it looked a little rotten there. Same with this one. I got to wash these again. I'm going to separate some leaves, and I'm going to separate these celery. We're going to leave the leaves raw. And we're just going to roast these towards the end just to kind of soften them up. This is celery from celery root. So look at it. It's like teeny baby. This is so vibrant. I was very lucky to get these celery root with the celery still attached. Let's not forget our cilantro here. And let's make a little dressing. I'm going to put a couple tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to do maybe 1.5, 2 teaspoons pomegranate molasses. I love pomegranate molasses. First off, it looks like balsamic, but it's not. It's absolutely delicious. And if you're going to make it at home, we found one of the tricks was you take like pomegranate juice and you reduce it down. Not until it's thick and syrupy like this. You have to take it farther. You have to actually start burning it. And once you kind of start almost burning it, and you take it off the heat, and then you add a little bit more, just a teeny bit pomegranate juice, bring it back up to the syrupy consistency. And that's how you get this flavor. It's very distinct. All right, now for a little acid, you can use lemon. I'm just gonna use a teeny bit of white wine vinegar, 1/4 teaspoon. A little pepper, a little salt, and then let's mix it up. I'm gonna put about 1/8 teaspoon mustard in, Dijon. It's a nice little emulsifier. You don't want to taste it. So let's just give this a taste. Let's see how we're doing. Not really vinegary enough, so I'm going to add a little bit more vinegar. Let's stick with the lime here. I'm just shooting from the hip here, you know? That's good. Let's leave it for now. We can always adjust it. Get some cilantro. Let's get a couple of these celery leaves too in here. I'm going to chop it up, not mince. Make sure it's washed, no grit. I got these delicious, now I believe they're called apple pears. Crisp, juicy, they don't have a ton of flavor. It's definitely a cross between a bland apple and a bland pear, but I think they're delicious. Let's slice up some of the celery, kind of on a bias here. Put our cilantro and celery leaf in there. Let's take this apple pear. I know it wasn't on the ingredient list. I'm sorry. Slice it up, kind of thin, put it in there. Now I'm just gonna put maybe a teaspoon of olive oil here, another squeeze of lime. Let's toss this around. Oh, you know what this needs? I keep adding stuff. Need some pomegranate seeds. We'll get those into, not right this second. All right, here we go. We're not done yet. Okay, first things first, we gotta flip these. Hopefully we're getting a teeny bit of color. It's fine if not. Around the edges, we're getting some color, and the remaining cook time will bring out a little bit even more nice little caramelization. We got schmaltz coming in from the chicken here. I'm gonna flip the chicken too. Skin has started to render. We're gonna crisp it up now. This is the part where we crisp it up. Guess I should have sprayed it. I thought oil would be enough. Let's put it back in 15 minutes. Look at this. Not the best looking one, but bear with me. Look at this crispy skin. So easy, so crispy. Yeah, so I temp the chicken. You want the chicken to come up to at least 175 degrees if they are thighs or leg quarters, the dark meat. I actually like taking them up to 195 because that's when a little bit more of that connective tissue and whatnot that starts to melt and break down. They become really tender. All right, let's get our salad on here. Now remember this pomegranate molasses dressing we got here? All right, it's not gonna look fantastic, but it's gonna taste great. We're just gonna drizzle it. Finally, let's get some pomegranate seeds. Nice little pop of flavor and freshness coming in from these pomegranate seeds. All right, let's dig in. First things first, I want a little bite of this perfectly caramelized. Look at this nicely browned celery root here. I love celery root. So good, it's so vibrant, it's so fresh. The dressing just kind of like lifts it up. Let's get into this ras al hanout chicken. Tender, perfectly seasoned ras al hanout. Salt. Here we go. Let's get all this together. Apple pear, Asian pear, little celery, pomegranate seed. Let's do it all at the same time. What an abundance of flavors. It just starts building. Boom, I get hit with cilantro. Boom, I get hit with Asian pear. Boom, I get hit with the pomegranate. And it's just, they're complementary. And it's a ladder of deliciousness. I'm almost speechless. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you like what you saw. This was one pan chicken with roasted celery root and an Asian pear celery slaw. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube, Twitch. I'm also on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Really appreciate you, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.